You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Networks Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for July 8th, 2025. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where we're reworking the Samuel Beckett play, Waiting for Godot. The title of our community theater version is Waiting for the Epstein Files, and we are looking for backers. It's The Professional Left with Drift Glass and Blue Gal. Hey, Blue Gal.
Hey, Drift Glass. Hey, Blue Gal. Hey, everybody.
It's late. It's late in the day.
We waited until the thunderstorms were over to record.
Yes.
And so the Epstein files are Iraq, they're inflation, they're deficits, they're migrant workers, they're the entire Republican Party. And the entire Republican Party is powered by stupid conspiracy theories spread by grifters and degenerates who get hits and likes and milk the algorithm.
And they get jobs in the administration.
Jobs in the administration.
Yeah.
People like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, who are in charge of local and national law enforcement in the Trump White House. So the dog then caught the car. And now that Republicans control every branch of government, the MAGA meatheads who put them in office quite reasonably demand that the dear leader and his hand-picked best people deliver on what they promised.
All we have to do now is to take these lies and make them true.
Yeah, Trump 1.0 was the dry run. So you got all the bad people out of the way immediately. These are all the best people. These are the ones who are completely awesome and loyal. And since they're lying to bigots and imbeciles, for some issues, just continuing to lie is always sufficient because MAGA chuds are so desperate to believe them. In fact, let's turn to Senator Rourke from Sin City to explain.
Power don't come from a badge or a gun. Power comes from lying. Lying big and getting the whole damn world to play along with you. Once you got everybody agreeing with what they know in their hearts ain't true, you got them by the balls.
And this is the corner that MAGA chuds have backed themselves into, and why it's useless to debate policy or really anything else with them. They don't give a shit about policy. They never did. Their identity is wrapped up in believing the dear leader, and therefore they cannot permit the dear leader to have ever been wrong, or worse yet, to have been lying to them. That cannot be permitted. So for decades, they've been repeatedly humiliated by reality, which we've talked about on this podcast many times. Yeah. Reality just keeps kicking them in the balls because they keep falling for stupid shit. Over and over again, they've had their faces rubbed in the fact that they are indeed the most gullible chumps God ever created. And all the bullshit they made up to give them an excuse to hate Bill Clinton, what happened to that? It all fell apart. And all the faith they invested, deep Christian faith they invested in George W. Bush being...
He's a good Christian man, Drick Glass.
The good Christian man. And the Iraq War was over by, early 2003. Everyone knows
2003.
That. Utterly successful.
Yep.
Perfect in every way. They invested in him being the infallible warrior king that they've been praying for. And that dream died in the sands of Iraq. Mm-hmm. All the shrieking they did about Barack Obama's birth certificate came to nothing. Didn't even slow him down. All the promises of a Romney landslide blew up in their faces. Over and over again, they just keep falling for the same liars, and it keeps kicking them in the balls.
And I keep reminding everyone on Blue Sky, I thought QAnon really cared about child trafficking, Drift Glass.
Yeah. Never. They're reprogrammable meat bags.
Yeah.
And they're treated like that.
If it's going to get Democrats, that's great.
Yeah.
But if it's going to point, if the arrow's going to point to anyone that they voted for,
right?
Forget it.
Yeah. Well, the dear leader, especially the dear leader, cannot be wrong.
He's infallible, right?
Stalin is infallible.
So finally, they got what they've been waiting for their whole lives: a loud, racist scumbag who talked just like they talked, believed what they believed, and promised them the moon. Drift Glass, he says what I'm thinking.
He does. He's like in my head.
So when Trump lost in 2020, it had to be a conspiracy. And January 6th had to be an act of patriotism, and the J6 traitors had to be heroes and political prisoners. No other explanation can be tolerated. And anyone who says different, no matter how loyal they had been up until that point, looking at you, Liz Cheney, a mother and a patriot, those folks have to be purged and cursed and silenced and hopefully prosecuted.
Yeah, exactly.
The fantasy is we're going to put Liz Cheney in jail.
All of them in jail. Yeah. We're going to sue them all and prosecute them all. They're all going to go to jail.
Yeah. Because for Republicans 40 years ago, this stopped being about policy. And I would say even earlier than that.
Yeah.
And became a question of identity, which is why when Fox News regular Monica Page went on Fox to chastise anyone thinking of voting against Trump's bust-out bill, the worst possible thing she could think of to accuse them was of siding with Democrats.
Nothing lower.
That is the worst possible thing you could ever do.
Mm-hmm.
She did the Fox News hop, skip, and jump, linking the people they want to threaten to the scariest conspiracy making the rounds of MAGA world that day. They trained all the Nazi youth to do this at Nazi sleepaway camp.
And you can see it constantly. They're always trying to tie multiple conspiracy theories together with whatever is scaring the crap out of the big people today.
Yep. Yep. In this case, it wasn't scary enough that you'd be siding with just any old Democrat. Oh, no. You'd be siding with, and here's what she said, quote, Democrats like Maxine Dexter, who was on the Hill today dressed in a white robe, who also visited El Salvador to go see Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Oh, no.
You see where this is going, right?
Yep.
So she continues, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who killed Americans.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not siding with Republicans, then unfortunately, you're siding with Democrats. Anti-American, unquote. And later, she was forced to issue a bullshit non-apology for calling him a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter. She got her good doggy points from the White House and an attaboy from Fox News Suits.
Mm-hmm. So hold that in your mind, all the people out there who were just pining for the days when you both sides could get along and find common ground in the middle. They have been calling us evil, baby-killing communist monsters and the face of evil for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we reach out a hand, we pull back a stump. So let's not pretend that both sides do this. This is their fucking bread and butter. Because Republican voters don't care what's in the fucking bill. They only care what their leader says is in the fucking bill. They only care that Democrats are against it. They only care that anyone who voted against it is throwing in with the anti-American Democrats and, of course, our demonic poster boy, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So from top to bottom, this is the entire party. From top to bottom, the message is always the same. If you go against us, you're siding with evil. You're siding with the enemy, and we will destroy you. This is from the very bottom of the MAGA shit pile. We have an example from our local Trump base. This is a loyal local Trump stalactite named Cliff, who reposted a very long screed about Trump being awesome. His barely literate preamble reads as follows. Quote, read this if you're, which is misspelled, not stupid, you may understand and see this is very true. All of what is said is facts. You can't argue with what's facts true. Please, people, don't be stupid. And then he goes on and reprints this screed, which is from Clint Eastwood, for God's sakes. Nobody more trustworthy than Clint Eastwood. And I'm just going to read you the first sentence, or the first couple of sentences. Quote, I love when people call Trump stupid. You mean the multi-billionaire who kicked every Democrat's butt, buried 16 career Republican politicians, and continues to make fools out of once reputable news organizations, unquote. And it goes on and on and on and on like that. Christians they are, what great Christians they are, how evil we are, and so on and so forth. But the theme is how stupid Democrats are and how smart Trump is and how you should be smart like Clint Eastwood. Now, here's the punchline. It's from nearly 6 years ago, and it was not written by Clint Eastwood. So that just made me stop and laugh because after being lectured about don't be stupid, listen to Clint Eastwood. Hey, asshole, it's not from Clint Eastwood. Here's from Snopes. Quote, this opinion piece was not written by Eastwood. It's actually a near verbatim copy of a letter written by New Hampshire State Representative Fred Duchette to the editor of the Eagle Tribune in September of 2019. The original letter was entitled, Don't Be Brainwashed by What Democrats Tell You, unquote. Now, ask yourself a question. Would this matter to Clint if you brought it to his attention? Because, he doesn't want to be stupid. So would you help him out and point out the fact
He doesn't want to have incorrect information on his Facebook page either, does he?
No. After lecturing all of us to not be stupid and making a big-ass stupid ass of himself on Facebook, do you think this would help him if we brought it to his attention? Of course not. Because you and I are the enemy, and Snopes is a commie front funded by George Soros. So you don't worry about any of that.
And now from the very peak of the MAGA shit pile, and we really are going somewhere with this. I don't want you guys to think that we're just subjecting you to MAGA bullshit. There is a purpose here.
There is a point.
But from the very peak of the MAGA shit pile, it is amazing that it's the same attitude. This is Trump describing CNN reporter Natasha Bertrand. Quote, "We had a lot of fake reporting, mostly from CNN, where a scammer writer from CNN who should be fired, she's just a scammer, and she's just still at CNN, which is amazing. I like to watch the enemy. You learn from the enemy," unquote. This is why they can yell that egg prices are at record lows and get away with it. That gas prices are under $2 a gallon and get away with it. That they can lie about cutting the deficit, preserving Medicaid. And the MAGA horde believes everything he says. Because for these things, MAGA chuds can always find an excuse to believe they are true. Because they have to be true. Because if they ever had to face the fact that they'd been played like the biggest chumps God ever made again, that they just demanded that Republicans pass a bill that will wreck them worse than the lies they believed about Iraq wrecked them. And I said on Blue Sky today, I think what we're going through with ICE is Iraq all over again.
Yeah.
The parallels are so great. Trump said that Biden let 11 million or 50 billion or 100 million people into this country and we have to eradicate them.
Right.
And that number, whatever he says it is today, no matter what he says, is a lie. But it has to be verified by action. And there is a bottomless pit of money to keep pushing that lie and making it true on TV.
Well, we have to fight them over here so we don't have to fight them over here, Blue Gal.
But we're fighting them over here, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're also having torture videos.
Yes, we are.
We're having people getting tased inside Walmart.
This is something that Digby talked about, I think, with Sam Cedar. I listened to her on Sam Cedar. Digby's awesome. Hello, Digby.
Yes, she is.
But it's the people who say, this is not America. We don't do things like this. And her attitude was, pardon me, she doesn't really swear, I do. The fuck we don't.
Yeah.
This is not the 12th century we're talking about. Within living memory, we were torturing people. The government of the United States was torturing people in horrific ways. We were rendering them off to foreign countries so we could do it legally.
Right.
We were doing horrible. We were snatching people off the street, innocent people, and throwing them in prisons and never letting them out. This is who a substantial percentage of this country are. And pretending
it was this year that I learned that the United States has not signed the treaty that would subject U.S. presidents to The Hague.
Yeah. Well, why would
we just decided it doesn't apply to us.
Yeah.
Human rights violations doesn't apply to us.
No, because we got
so the thoughts that we've had all along of we're going to send Bush and Cheney to The Hague, we're going to send Trump to The Hague, we're going to The Hague is going to resolve the human rights abuses that Republican presidents do. The entire United States government is not subject to trial at The Hague. We have not signed that agreement. We've let other countries sign it. We've encouraged other countries to sign it.
So we're asking, please stop misremembering what this country has been for a very long time. Because we were a people, the Republican Party was a party that was perfectly okay, celebrated torture, laughed about it, mocked people who did it. Sean Hannity bets, I forget how much, that he could handle it. And if he couldn't, he'd give money to charity, which never happened.
Never happened.
And Rush Limbaugh made jokes about it. These people are fucking sadists, and they've been sadists for a really long time. So don't tell me that we're not this country. A big chunk of us are this country, and they alone are the fucking problem.
So, and it's no surprise that millions of conservative Christian fundamentalists are perfectly at home with this Republican Party, and that the Republican Party is nothing more than a cult now. I mean, the IRS can now look the other way while preachers tell you who to vote for from the pulpit.
Mm-hmm. According to Donald Trump this
According
week.
to Donald Trump's IRS.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Do politics at church. Go right ahead.
Yep. There are obvious truths that they cannot face because the truth would destroy them. So they invent wilder and wilder excuses for why those truths cannot be true. And as the contradictions and hypocrisies multiply, they have no choice but to keep their head down, dig in, believe even harder, and attack anyone who says anything different. And you see this in the Texas flooding.
Yeah.
The woman who, there's all this evidence of people tweeting, how dare Joe Biden, blah, 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 hurricane this, hurricane that. Right. What a failure. Mm-hmm. And then don't you dare politicize what's going on in Texas.
Yeah. Well, there's all this. This is just like, scumbag liberals who politicize this, who blame us when they don't know, blah, blah. And our side would never do that. We would never do that.
Right.
And I felt obliged to reply, do you mean like the assassin in Minnesota, like a minute ago? Here are all the people from Elon Musk on down who were automatic. This is what Marxists are like. And this is congressmen, senators. Yeah. This is your fucking side. You do it all the time. You do it automatically. The only thing we get in trouble over here on our side is when we try to say there is a direct link between Republican criminal incompetence and laying people off and destroying agencies and cutting
which is the Supreme Court okayed today as well.
And the attendant disasters over here was like, well, let's be cautious now. Let's not blame people before all the facts are in. So we are overly cautious when it comes to that. But Republicans, this is their fucking bread and butter. And then, well, along comes a fight between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Daddy and daddy are fighting, which has rocked the stupid little MAGA bell jar they all live in, especially now that Elon Musk promised he was going to stop. And then he said, I'm going to start my own party. It's going to be the America Party and fuck you. And I've got billions of dollars to throw into that. Mm-hmm. And their response to their own media, their own internal house organs, their own propaganda organs, doing nothing, literally nothing, more than telling them what was happening was exactly what you'd expect.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
So this fight between daddy and daddy was very bad, right? Very, very bad. And then they haven't recovered from that shock, and Trump rolls out his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to announce that, hey, you know what? There were no Epstein files. There was no illegality. And you know what? He offed himself. So let me draw an analogy from my childhood. When I was a kid, I had this cool see-through alarm clock. You might have had one yourself. Kids my age, in my age cohort, had stuff like this. And the gimmick was it was an ordinary alarm clock, but cased in clear plastic. So you could watch the dials and the gears and the hands go round and round and watch them in motion. It was very cool. There also used to be several other kind of toys and gadgets that would do that. There was a wind-up Mickey Mouse, as I recall, a toy train engine. Those are the two that I can remember off the top of my head. Very cool things. Anyway, this is exactly what's happening inside the Republican Party right now. If you care to look in real time, you can actually see the MAGA gears spinning like crazy and the bearings smoking and the whole edifice shaking as another of their load-bearing lies gets snatched away by the same people who built it in the first place.
Right. And the memory hole isn't deep enough yet.
No.
Because Epstein files are everything.
It's happening too fast, and it's you remember remember Breaking Bad?
Uh-huh.
When Skyler finally figures out how much Walter's making. You make how much? She goes, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
100 car washes couldn't launder this money.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of bullshit that's falling apart in front of them is too much. They can't process it, so they are spinning out of control. And you can watch it happen in real time right here in the good old United States.
Yeah. And Trump has done this before many times, and usually the MAGA chuds don't care. And Republican elected officials say they hadn't seen the tweet.
Yeah.
Some bullshit like that. Well, I haven't seen the tweet. Well, the president has a way of speaking that I wouldn't use those words exactly, but I support the president.
Right.
The most famous example of this is from September of 2016, just mere months before Trump was elected president, when Trump upended the birther lie that he personally had been spreading for years.
President Barack Obama was born in the United States, period. Now we all want to get back to making America strong and great again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
When that happened, MAGA scum groused a little, but they didn't really care because that lie had done its work. It had helped cripple the Obama administration, and by July of 2016, Trump had won the Republican nomination. So I think the MAGA, folks thought, okay, he probably has to say this,
Right,
to get, limp Republicans to vote for him.
right.
So he's going to do this. And carrying on with that lie and making that about the campaign, making the campaign about that, I should say, was no longer useful. So he dropped it. And as he said in that clip, we're going to go on and make America great again.
Yeah. He dropped it like his first two wives. He
Right.
didn't need them anymore.
It's not convenient.
So out they
Yeah.
go. And
Yep.
it's as if it never happened. We're moving on now. You know what? The media moved along too.
They sure
the legacy
did.
media just moved right along like, oh, okay, I guess that's over. So let's move on to follow the circus all the way off the cliff.
Right.
But, once Trump falls in love with a racist lie, Blue Gal, he just can't quit it. He just loves it so much. So a year later, in November of 2017, this is what CNN was reporting. Quote, Trump has continued to question the legitimacy of Obama's birth certificate during private conversations in recent months. The New York Times reported Tuesday, citing advisors who discussed Trump's statements. Trump still questioning Obama's birthplace is just one of several instances the Times pointed to as examples of the president's reliance on manufactured facts. As the newspaper reported on Tuesday, it's adorable that they're still calling them manufactured facts. They're still being very dainty about the fact he's a
New
liar.
York Times is not calling it lies. They're calling them manufactured facts.
Yeah, because, this is all going to pass. It'll all be, don't worry about it. One U.S. senator, who I think we all know who that might be, quoted by the Times, quote, who listened as the president revived his doubts about the issue, chuckled when speaking about what was said. Trump has had a hard time letting go of his claim that Mr. Obama was not born in the United States. The senator, who asked not to be named to discuss private conversations, told the New York Times, unquote, because
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, you don't want to open the closet door and expose Lindsey Graham
Right.
talking shit about Donald Trump. But he's happy
Right.
to tell you off the record because, that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's the important thing. The Epstein files is not that. It's not a temporary, utile lie to be discarded once he's done. It wasn't utilitarian that could be tossed aside like a booster rocket once he got Trump into orbit where his followers wanted him to go. That was acceptable. Releasing the Epstein files was the most solemn promise Trump made to the MAGA mob. In September of 2024, not that long ago, just last year, libs of TikTok told their 4.3 million Twitter followers, quote, Trump says he will release the Epstein client list if elected. Democrat elites are shaking, unquote.
Yeah, it's going after Democrats, so we want it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Give it to us. Give it to us. Put him in jail.
But now Gunther Eagleman is telling his 1.4 million Twitter followers, quote, the elite pedophiles who raped children on Epstein's Island are going to get away with it, aren't they? Unquote. Cat Turd told his 3.7 million followers on Twitter, quote, one more time, I know a little something, and I have 100% faith in Dan Bongino and Kash Patel.
And Jesus. I'm Jesus.
Unquote. Rush Limbaugh's idiot brother David Limbaugh has told his 486,000 Twitter followers that he agrees with Cat Turd.
Yeah, Cat Turd's right. He's right. Now, if this all sounds like madness, it's because it is madness. You're watching madness in action because these grifters and freaks with millions of followers who get all kinds of FaceTime with the President of the United States carry actual weight with the MAGA cult.
Yeah.
And now they're all fighting each other, which is so sad. Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro, that comforting voice that Laura Ingraham and a dental drill had a baby and named it Ben Shapiro. He announced to his 7.8 million Twitter followers that the Department of Justice has put the Epstein mystery to rest. So sit down and shut up now, period. There was no client list, there was no blackmail scheme, there was no shady fortune, and no murder. According to Shapiro, Epstein didn't make his money through nefarious means, didn't target powerful people, and simply died by suicide. Oh, very sad. But Jack Prosovic was telling his 3.1 million Twitter followers, quote, I went to a series of policy briefings from various cabinet members. Then the AG brought in a stack of binders that no one had told us anything about. It's indefensible that we are told there is nothing when so much was promised, unquote. It's all so confusing, Blue Gal. It's all so confusing.
Well, they depend on the algorithm of outrage to make their money. And Dan Bongino, of all the people, was constantly insisting that the Epstein files are the thing that's going to bring down, the entire Democratic Party.
Oh, sure. Everybody. And the massive global pedophile ring the Democrats run out
headed up by Hillary Clinton.
Sure. It's going to happen.
And right-wing Twitter personalities Tina B and Seshi had this back and forth on Twitter. Tina B says, Obama already had it destroyed. We have been played all along.
Those are declarative statements of fact.
Yeah.
By
from
crazy
some rando
people.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Who's probably got millions of followers. And Seshi says, ha. Then what was on Patel and Bondi's desks? What videos were they watching? And Tina B had an answer for that. It could be just decoy files left from the Biden administration.
Once you're down that rabbit hole, got to keep going. So well,
and someone that I put the image on Blue Sky went so far as to say, well, of course he touched the girls on Epstein's plane. If he's a man,
do that.
I'd be disappointed if he didn't.
Right. No, this is.
So all of a sudden, pedophilia or touching 15-year-old girls, underage girls, is what we're talking about. Is perfectly okay because Dear Leader did it.
Except
that's masculine energy.
Except it never happened.
Except it never happened. But if it did, it's because he's good.
But it didn't because Obama destroyed it. But
Obama destroyed all the evidence because Obama wanted to protect Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Biden left decoy files behind. Fooled everyone.
Of pedophiles.
Yeah. So we're going to work on
the binders that were handed out in the Oval Office by Pam Bondi to right-wing influencers apparently contained nothing.
Right.
But a promise.
There was the promise. There was the whiff. There was the hint. We're going to get this evidence and we're going to get it to you right away.
Yeah. MAGA Michelle. Some of these folks.
All of these folks.
Yeah.
All of these folks.
She of the 100 American flags in her bio, an independent, unvaccinated, and free, pronouns bite/me, maha, and proud garbage Nazi. Quote, I'm so sick of hearing about fucking Epstein. I'm only going to say this about it and I'm done. I'm literally going to mute the word Epstein so I don't see any more about it.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
And she continues, if you're blaming Kash Patel or Dan Bongino, then you clearly don't know how corrupt Merrick Garland was and his FBI, unquote. And then she goes on, yada, 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 Biden.
Yeah.
Because this can only be a sledgehammer against Democrats.
Right. Democrats have to be in charge of this, and the Dear Leader has to be blameless. Yeah. Except he's not, except he's masculine, except he's not.
And if Democrats were involved, I want them prosecuted.
Of course, we all do. That's the whole point.
That's the difference. Put people in jail who exploited and trafficked young women.
Well, and right now there's a cottage industry on social media of taking snapshots of somebody who said, let's just get the Epstein files out there right now. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. 6 months later, I'm so sick of Epstein. Shut up about Epstein. Be quiet. And they're the same people.
Same people.
Again, you can watch as if it's encased in lucite. You can watch the MAGA reprogramming going wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking down because they don't know what to tell these people because they've lied to them every kind of different way you can imagine. And there hasn't been enough time elapsed between the Trump-Musk lie fight and this one for them to adjust to the new programming. So they're thrashing. They're looking for anyone to blame, anywhere, except, of course, the dear leader. That's very important, because if you look for patterns in this shit pile, the one thing that becomes immediately clear is whatever side they're on, all of the faithful are extremely careful not to blame Trump for any of this.
And Trump is completely in a bubble of eternality.
Yes.
It is a cult, and there is no mental decay of Trump. Trump is simply an idea now.
He's reached that noumenal state of perfection,
right,
above all matter and energy and time.
So you don't even have to listen to what he's saying today.
No,
because it's the forever Trump that we worship.
You remember that?
Not the man sitting there babbling about skedaddle. Today it was skedaddle. It means skedaddle.
Yeah. You might remember a scene, some of you out there might remember a scene from, I think it's Enemies at the Gate, when we're standing as Bob Hoskins as Nikita Khrushchev. Oh. And they're all standing in a room with what's his name, who's the best sniper in the Soviet army, or I forget who the actual character is, but they're standing in front of a huge painting of Stalin. Mm-hmm. I said, look at him. He sees everything. Just look at him. He's everywhere. Or words to that effect. Yeah. That's what Trump is to them. Yeah. He is a godhead of their religion. He doesn't even need to exist in the real world anymore. He just exists as a notion.
That's my point. Yeah. And so if he flubs or falls or is diminished, tremendously physically and mentally diminished, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He's still there. And he looks at me into my soul, and he's my salvation. Yeah. But they still need villains. They still need villains. So they're dragging everyone who isn't Trump into this, going back to damn near Hammurabi to find villains. Barack Obama's a villain, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, of course, the entire Clinton family, and of course, all Democrats everywhere throughout all time, space, and dimensions. We're all of us are guilty of this.
Release. I want to go on record as saying, release the Epstein files, Driftglass.
I want to go on record.
If they exist, bar none. Don't cross any. Don't edit it at all.
Hey, funny you should say Barr, because you know who else gets dragged into this? Bill Barr. Yeah. Benny Johnson, we're going back to the Twitter area. Benny Johnson told his 3.7 million Twitter followers, quote, Mike Benz exposes former USAG Bill Barr's dark history with Epstein. He was the CIA's mop-up man, and his father worked directly with him. Family business. Epstein died under his watch, did the blocking and tackling the first time around. There was an immediate conflict of interest. Both were actively involved in the Iran-Contra scandal. God damn, we're going back in time, aren't we?
They're remembering stuff.
Yeah. Hey, asshole. That was a Republican scandal. But
all these are right-wing scandals.
Oh, shh. They're not right-wing anymore. They're not even Republicans anymore.
They're not MAGA, and they're not Trump forever. Yeah.
They are MAGA. Right. They're not Republicans. They're MAGA. They've ascended. They've
I'm saying that the people who did the Iran-Contra scandal are not MAGA.
No, they're and MAGA is no longer Republican. They have purified themselves,
transcended,
and they've become a pure alloy of golden goodness. And the rest of us are all scum. We're all
really weird. It's really weird.
The other 7.8 billion people on the planet are all in on the conspiracy, blue guy. Anyway, back to the quote from Benny Johnson. You had an immediate conflict of interest when Barr said Epstein killed himself, and the case was closed. You've got the CIA's mop-up man as the head of the Justice Department. His father worked directly with Epstein. Father like son, family business, unquote. Even Elon Musk's ridiculous America fuck yeah party was catching strays from the equally ridiculous Bill Mitchell. Yes, Bill Mitchell, who told his 463,000 Twitter followers, quote, I'm curious of those who claim to be MAGA and say Trump will lose them over Epstein and a pathway to legal residency for farm and hospitality workers. Again, dragging in all kinds of shit. If Trump loses you, where will you go instead? The ridiculous America party? Maybe you'll just pick up your marbles and go home. These aren't serious people. Because, Bill Mitchell's a serious guy.
Bill Mitchell did a big old fundraiser to move, and did a GoFundMe to help him move, I think, to D.C.
Yeah, wherever.
From Florida. Mm-hmm. And then he decided not to go, and he kept the money.
Oh, see, he's a smart one, that Bill Mitchell is.
Smart one. Yeah.
Back to him. We're honestly better off without them cluttering up the conversation. I wish them well in finding a new hobby, unquote. Again, if you say a bad word about the dear leader, you are dead to them.
Yeah.
Cool.
But thus far, the consensus candidate for scapegoat is Trump's hand-picked attorney general and forever Fox News blonde. You know, she's on there. She was on there all the time before she became attorney general. She's still on there. Pam Bondi.
Uh-huh.
And Hal Sparks was on today talking about, all the men in the Trump cabinet pushing her under the bus.
Yeah, that's what women are
including
for.
Trump.
That's what women are for, honey.
Yeah. Ian Yeager told his 250,000 followers on Twitter, quote, if Matt Gaetz was attorney general, the Epstein files would have been already released to the public.
Yep.
Of all the people who are most likely to be
Matt Gaetz could save us.
on a list of, sex with underage girls.
Yep.
All right. Sean Farish told his 300,000 Twitter followers, quote, Pam Bondi is a ball and chain for this administration. It's time to cut ties. Bondi must go, unquote. And that's just going to wash everything clean.
Right. Then
Find
we'll all
a
forget about it.
scapegoat, cut her out, and then, okay, that's over. Dusted and done.
Right. Move on. Let's move on now.
Got to move on now. Laura Loomer. Oh, she who chained herself to Twitter HQ, handcuffed herself to the door.
And now
she's
Twitter.
back and she's on Twitter and she's got 1.7 million followers. And she told them all, quote, I hope Trump realizes what an fucking liar Pam Bondi is. She's useless, covering for pedophiles and never arresting criminals, unquote.
Very sad. Very, very sad.
Chicago One Ray, who is so very proud that Trump retweeted him 6 times that's in his bio.
Yeah, his mom, I'm sure, is very proud of him.
Told his 400,000 followers, quote, Pam Bondi said she had a truckload of Epstein files delivered to her. She said the public has a right to know. Now she says there are no files and closed the case. This is an impeachable offense. Impeach Pam Bondi. She lied to the people, unquote.
Yeah.
Wow.
You made the mob mad. Now the mob demands a sacrifice. And it ain't going to be dear leader who is actually the person behind all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The banner on Jesse Waters' shitty show on Fox read the following: we need answers on Epstein. And he devoted a full segment to that topic and featured 2 guests who alleged an ongoing cover-up, Blue Gal. Ooh, cover-ups. But Water refused to criticize Trump directly.
Jesse Waters will not blame Trump for anything, Driftglass.
Because Trump can reach out through the screen and crush him like
and yank him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he's gone. And then he'll be gone and he'll be out there, I don't know, doing whatever Fox News people do, popping up on the Chris Cillizza show, I guess.
Yeah.
Fucking, who knows? Instead, Jesse Waters blamed the feds in general. Quote, the government's been keeping us in the dark for generations, he said. And he ended the segment by saying Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino are great Americans, but this stinks. This just reeks, unquote. Now, Brian Allen will edge right up to that edge of that line, but not cross it. He told his 170,000 Twitter followers, quote, why did Epstein kill himself if he was an innocent man with $577 million, 0 clients, and no evidence against him? Good question. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for 20 years for sex trafficking kids with him? Good question. You don't go from it's on my desk to it doesn't exist unless someone powerful is on that list. Spoiler, it's not Biden.
Wow.
Yep.
It's not Biden. Who could it be then?
Who could it? Well, I'm just asking the questions, Blue Gal.
We're just asking the question, yes. Yeah. The scumbag king of all conspiracy mongers we have to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Alex Jones had a weeping fit and a near puking fit. He felt sick to his stomach.
I'm going to puke.
Over this.
I'm going to puke. My mouth's watering. I'm going to puke. Yep.
Yeah. Why is Trump allowing this?
Right.
Said Alex Jones. Then a quick sidebar about how he knows us Dems are all pedophiles and pure evil. But Donald Trump, why, Jesus? Why? And the answer is the same answer these clowns always have when one of their load-bearing conspiracies collapses. there must be an even bigger conspiracy.
Even bigger conspiracy.
A deeper deep state.
An even deeper deep state, Blue Gal, than you even imagined.
You can't even imagine how many members of the Trilateral Commission are on the Epstein list.
Billions. Billions, Blue Gal.
Henry Kissinger isn't dead. He's on the Epstein list.
Right. He's living in a jar, running everything.
He's running things.
Mm-hmm.
This is more from Alex Jones. Quote, obviously, there's nothing the globalists wouldn't do to keep this from coming out. They've already tried to kill Trump repeatedly. Had they rolled over, I see a lot of signs that, Trump's pretty much in charge now. And so all evidence points towards them using the information to control the deep state. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Wait, he just said Trump was in charge.
He's just a puppet on a string, Blue Gal.
Oh, the Who song won't get fooled again, says Alex Jones. This is going to be an unmitigated disaster. I don't know how they got Trump in the DOJ to do this. It's like he caught himself saying Trump.
Yeah. And again, if you want to just focus on one clear plastic MAGA brain that is frying itself, trying to find a way to square a circle that cannot be squared, is Alex Jones. Because Alex Jones does nothing but traffic in crazy, often racist, terrifying conspiracies for stupid people who need to believe that because they can't face reality. And
you know who wants to have a chat with Pam Bondi, Drift Class?
Who?
Jamie Raskin.
I've heard of him. Is he a conspiracy monger, crazy man? Oh, he's a Democrat. So he is
the ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee.
I have a question.
He can subpoena Pam Bondi.
So because he's a high-ranking Democrat, is he the one pulling the strings for Donald Trump?
Could he be pulling the strings for Donald Trump? I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It sounds
I'm thinking
suspicious.
not. I'm thinking that he would just like to get to the bottom of what exactly, when exactly she was lying.
Yeah.
And why.
Were you lying then or are you lying now?
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, and then she'll wave a picture of Donald Trump and say, Donald Trump is the tightest, bravest
hold
man.
Donald Trump's picture, because that's what they
when
do.
you should be allowed to bring in people to tase people. You really should. It's
well, what I said today about that, we're going to talk more about this, I'm sure, but the jackass in L.A. who said, I don't work for the mayor of Los Angeles. I work for the president, and mayor of Los Angeles should just get used to ICE taking over her city.
Right.
Because this is the new normal. We're here, and we're going to stay. And I said, I want to be able to run up to him and yell, I work for Mel Brooks.
Not in the face.
Not in the face. Punch him in the tummy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said Gavin Newsom had a good.
Well, Gavin Newsom is a tall guy.
Yeah.
And I immediately, when I heard Gavin Newsom talking about this jackass, this, ICE field commander, and what he said about we're here to stay and this is the new normal. And he said, oh, tough guy.
Yeah.
And that I immediately ran to you and said, oh, we all know from that Gavin Newsom is tall.
He's a big guy. He's
6'3".
Yeah.
He's 6'3".
Yeah.
And when a little twerp is running around being, self-important and making threats, and you can't punch him in the face in the bar because that would just be big, tall guy beating up on little guy.
You never win that fight, Blue Guy.
You never win that fight. You will have victimized that poor man.
Right.
You just look at him and say, tough guy.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
Oh, tough guy. Yeah.
Not impressed.
Yeah, that's one of the things that John.
Drift Class is 6'8", by the way.
Yeah, I'm 6'8", and I've had my encounters with very nice people who are shorter than me, which is most of the world, and people who have a real serious problem with people who are bigger than they are, and people who just are assholes. And
and mean drunks. I mean, that's the worst. Yeah.
Mean, vicious little drunks. And all I can say is one thing I do admire about John Wayne's acting style is he was always very good at sort of sizing people up. Same thing with James Arness in Gunsmoke, sizing people up who was a big guy and was cast because he was a big guy. Sizing people up like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And because there's all that behind all of that is, and I can back up every fucking word of it.
Right.
And I don't need to prove it because you're not worth it.
No, that was Governor Newsom today. was just like, really? Check your pay stub, buddy,
Yeah.
to find out who you work for.
And Alex Jones and Cat Turd, this is where our little community theater production of Waiting for the Epstein Files begins.
The Waiting for the Epstein Files.
Yes. We open on two shabby characters named Alex Jones and Cat Turd.
Let's wait and see what he says. Who? Gatto.
Good idea.
Let's wait till we know exactly how we stand.
On the other hand, it might be better to strike the iron before it freezes.
I'm curious to hear what he has to offer. Then we'll take it or leave it.
What exactly did we ask him for?
Were you not there?
I can't have been listening.
Oh, nothing very definite.
A kind of prayer?
Precisely.
A vague supplication.
Exactly.
And what did he reply?
That he'd see.
That he couldn't promise anything.
That he'd have to think it over.
In the quiet of his home.
Consult his family.
His friends.
His agents.
His correspondence.
His books.
His bank account.
Before taking a decision.
It's the normal thing.
Is it not?
I think it is.
I think so too.
And we?
I beg your pardon?
I said, and we.
I don't understand.
Where do we come in?
Come in?
Take your time.
Come in? On our hands and knees.
As bad as that?
Your worship wishes to assert his prerogatives?
We've no rights anymore?
Oh, you'd make me laugh if it wasn't prohibited.
We've lost our rights?
We got rid of them.
We're not tied. We're not... Listen!
So let us now talk about the dumbest idea in politics that smart people who should fucking well know better, keep repeating.
Yeah. And I hate to use the word controversial, Driftglass, because you know how much I hate that word.
I know.
But some of our listeners may disagree with us on this.
That's fine. Just send us hate mail, send us corrections if my diction is incorrect. But bear with us while we try to make our case.
Yeah.
How's that? Quote, we need a healthy two-party system. We have to have a healthy two-party system. We have to. That was Kamala Harris in 2024 while sharing the stage with Liz Cheney.
Yep.
Quote, the nation's well-being depends on a healthy two-party system, unquote. That was former Senator John Danforth in Commentary Magazine, May 30th, 2025.
Quote, we always have differences between Democrats and Republicans, and that's a good thing. I am not somebody who believes that any single party has a monopoly on wisdom. Democrats have their blind spots, and we want a healthy two-party system where serious folks enter into a debate around how do we make sure that we're growing the economy, unquote. That was Barack Obama about 3 weeks before Trump was elected president.
Yeah. And about 8 years into him finding out that there's nobody on the right that is willing to be fair and decent and treat him like a leader and a decent human being. They've all been steeping in this Democrats are the devil, they're baby murdering scum for decades, and he bore the brunt of that. And still, at the end of 2016, he's still holding out this delusion that what we really need.
It's a strong party system.
Democrats have their flaws too. Everybody has their flaws. And he's still trying to get that David Brooks vote. Yeah. And it's about to all come crashing down on him.
Here's another one. It's tempting to write off the GOP after the Trump years.
Really?
So tempting. And Republican officials' complicity in his behavior. All right, so far.
Yeah, don't threaten me with a good time, Blue Gal.
All the issues that we're trying to talk about.
Yeah.
To believe that the health of American democracy depends on ensuring this party never again occupies the White House.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where to go. Where is this person going? But in a two-party system, it is neither likely nor healthy for one side to be in power indefinitely.
Yeah.
Mona Charen, December 26, 2020.
Yeah.
But all of this missed the important point that almost no one wants to talk about.
Right.
And that is this Republican Party, Trump's Republican Party. Don't you dare call it Trumpism. This is the Republican Party, and it has been for decades. And Trump's Republican Party is delivering on the things that the GOP has dreamed about for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Dismantling the administrative state.
Mm-hmm.
Deporting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting the social safety net. These are all things that a so-called healthy Republican Party would be doing. But it would have less bigots shouting at the top of their lungs about it. They wanted to slash Medicaid since the day it was created, and they're doing it. And they're coming after Medicare and then Social Security. They hate foreign aid, especially for brown people. So bye-bye USAID. They have always wanted this to be a white conservative Christian country. And that's why ICE funding was increased 300%.
Mm-hmm.
As we've said many times before, the problem with the Republican Party is it's full of Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And as Driftglass said, we're with Digby on this. Every time some Democrat pines for a healthy two-party system that never fucking existed, I know she doesn't swear, but I'm going to swear.
Mm-hmm.
They are telling disaffected Republicans to stay in their fascist party and hope that maybe someday their party won't be full of fascists.
Right.
Try to make it better somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just crazy. That's like saying healthy people should have some cancer in them.
Yeah.
Just to balance things out, just to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And no, America needs a confident, dominant, progressive Democratic Party enacting progressive policies, period.
That's it.
That's where I stand.
That's it. And it's nuts. At this late date, it's still nuts to be talking about a healthy we're never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And because that can't possibly happen with the ingredients that are on the table to work with, what we need is a powerful, progressive Democratic Party that can overwhelm the cancer.
Yep.
And simply wash it out of the system, simply not let it back to the table for decades. Now, I know that's wish casting, that's projecting into the future, something that will be very, very difficult to do, but continuing to pretend that if we just help these assholes rebuild the Republican Party, there is no more Republican Party.
Well, the purpose of that is first of all to maintain an illusion,
right?
And the other thing is money.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, networks can't exist. Network news can't exist without an election every 2 years,
and without two sides that are pretty much
two
equal.
sides to debate, to argue, and to explain. Red ants and black ants in a jar. We're going to shake it up.
Yeah. But you know what? Instead of getting behind the very obvious answer to what's killing this country, all the usual clowns have exactly the same magic bullet. Can you guess what it is, Blue Gal? Since both sides are equally bad and equally imperfect.
Equally bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Mona Charon's answer is, quote, "We need a center-right party to restore reason," unquote. Hey, third parties. We did a whole fucking podcast on third parties.
Yes,
isn't
we did.
that the same answer that Elon Musk has to all the problems that plague our poor country?
And Andrew Yang.
Yeah. And Matthew Dowd, 2016 Matthew Dowd.
What about no labels, Driftglass?
And no labels. And Third Way.
Oh, don't forget the Purple Project.
Who could forget the Purple Project? They're just the best. And Jill Stein every goddamn election.
Oh, yeah. Ralph Nader, too.
Don't forget Ralph Nader. And, of course, George Wallace all the way back in 1968 when I was just a wee Driftglass. Now, that was not a center-right party, but some alternative that lines up with the boutique values of whoever is pitching the idea. So George Wallace's idea was what we need is a segregationist party.
Yeah, well, and that really is the deal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
White nationalism. And the reason we need a strong Republican Party and a strong two-party system is to prevent Trump.
Right.
That was the whole purpose. And that your party failed at that.
Right. Your party failed. The whole idea was
failed to do the job that you were given to do.
Right.
The center right or the Republican Party that's reasonable Republicans
failed.
Will give the nut jobs, the racist nut jobs, a place to land.
Right.
And you'll string them along. And this is David Brooks. I mean, you're going to write this week about David Brooks' latest column in The Atlantic. I can't believe my party. What happened? And he just does not accept that the majority of people voting with him are racists.
Right. He can't accept that because that means he's implicated in that.
Yes.
And he can't allow himself to be implicated in that.
You are responsible for a white nationalist party taking over via Donald Trump. That's your party.
And if you line up all these grifters who are pitching all these different, and everybody who left the Republican Party Adam Kinzinger did the same thing for a hot minute. They all have their movements.
Yeah.
My
right.
country over party hashtag, send me money. And we're going to do country over. No. Let's do Democrats over fascist. Let's do that. Because I already belong to a democracy protecting movement called the Democratic Party. Your party is the problem. I understand that you left because you couldn't stand it anymore, but don't come over here and say, we really need a third party. We need a third way forward.
We need to elect anti-Republicans.
Right. Democrats. They're called Democrats. And the thing is, if you line up the aspirations of all these third parties, they don't line up at all.
No.
The Uniform Income Party of Andrew Yang has nothing in common with the let's cut the deficit at all costs party of Elon Musk, which has nothing in common with the Jill Stein Party, which has nothing in common with the George Wallace Party. It's just that they all think there's a majority of people out there who think like I do, which is bullshit. There's a big middle out there, which is bullshit. This is the both sides do it lie coming back to kill us all, because all these people really believe that there's some vast majority of people out there who just are so fucking hungry for a center-right party that they're going to line up to vote for it. There is a center-right party. It's called the Democratic Party. Doesn't make me very happy, but it's full of people who I disagree with profoundly about their priorities and their policies. But you know what? They're anti-fascist, and that's cool with me.
Yeah.
So the whole...
and there is plenty of room within the Democratic Party for center-right people.
Yeah, as we've seen.
I mean, there is quite a bit of space, I would argue, between Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's politics and our Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski's politics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Nikki Budzinski is a union gal. But she's very interested in getting the farm bill passed.
Yep.
Because she's a product of her district, which is in South Central Illinois. And that's her number one priority should be farms. And she's not going to come out for, some things that AOC and her constituents in New York City take for granted. And so, this freak out about the mayor's race in New York City, we don't have time to get into it, but my God, he's a Democrat.
Yeah. Get over it. He's a Democrat.
He won the Democratic primary.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Well, and if you could bear with me for 1 second.
Yeah.
I would like to.
And while you're looking something up, Fox News and Fox and Friends sitting in goddamn Manhattan.
Yeah.
Every person on that show has a condo in Manhattan, sitting in there thinking, what's happening in New York City? Donald Trump should come and take it over. It's being run by socialists. And then they, cut, we're clear, and we're not on the air anymore. And they're going to traipse down and get their salad from the undocumented immigrant who delivers their salad every day. And then go shopping, walking down the street as if everything's fine. Because it is.
If I may indulge myself.
Sure.
And read you just 3 sentences from David Brooks's massive Atlantic article.
Sure.
Which is entitled, let me scroll up.
This is the last thing we're going to do on this show.
Why
today.
do so many people think Trump is good? That Trump is good. And then the work of moral philosopher Alasdair MacIntyre, et cetera, et cetera. The first sentence of that. Second sentence is, the story began long ago. Go back to the ancient city, say Athens, in the age of Aristotle. And then it just goes on. No, we're going to recapitulate all of human history to make this point. Because padding.
Right.
But you get like 20 paragraphs in, and we find the centerpiece of the article, which is...
Is this the razor in the apple?
Oh, God, yeah. Big fat razor in the apple. So, of course, many people don't find Trump morally repellent. He's just an exaggerated version of the kind of person modern society was designed to create. And Democrats don't feel too self-righteous here. If he was on your side, most of you would like him too. You may deny it, but you're lying to yourself.
Oh,
fuck him.
My
fuck
God.
him sideways with a steam hammer. That is absolutely the perfect distillation of the both sides poison that Brooks has been pumping into our culture and clones like him for decades, which is, it doesn't matter how low Trump goes, you Democrats are just as bad, and you damn well know it. And anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Is lying to you. What a fucking scumbag. What a fucking scumbag.
That's just absurd.
Yep. And on that happy note.
Absurd. Yes. Feel free to write to both of us at proleftpodcast@gmail.com. And go ahead, send us more David Brooks links.
Don't do that. I that's enough for me. I'm going to have to turn that into a 4,000-word essay by tomorrow. So
and a Photoshop, don't forget.
Photoshop. And I've got stuff to do tomorrow.
You do. You kind of do.
I kind of do. I got to get Dark 30 and go have a tooth pulled. So that's not fun.
He's got to have a molar pulled tomorrow.
And then I got to be on with Bob Seska a couple hours.
He's got to be on with Bob Seska, and we told Bob Seska no video tomorrow because Driftglass might be drooling.
So think West Wing and C.J. Craig and Root Canal. So that's all I'm saying.
Root Canal.
Root Canal.
That's what I heard. Root Canal. Look, guys, we love hearing from you. Even if the subject line is David Brooks, I leave those for Driftglass to look at. Be aware that if you write to any of us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service. Go Postal Unions! Letter on the air unless you say otherwise.
And please share our show on social media, even if you disagree with the stuff we said about Kamala Harris and Barack Obama. You know we meant it with love. And if you love this podcast, please get someone else to listen to, and thank you for doing that.
Hey, Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, the Internet Kitties are busy reworking the Iceman Cometh for the here and the now.
Let's think about living. Think about living. Let's think about loving. Think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the popping and the loving, lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the wine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with the switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left podcast is recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright 2024-25, GGBG Productions.